If the woman next door crawled into your hallway at 3 a.m., her spine twisted like a spider's, softly humming a lullaby no child should ever hear, would you run or hide? I hid, and what was supposed to be an affordable fixer-upper nearly became my tomb. I bought the old Victorian because it was all a broke college grad could afford. The realtor called the neighborhood transitional, code for sirens at midnight. Yet the house charmed me. Arched doorways, stained glass windows, and a porch perfect for morning coffee and conversations with people I hadn't yet met. My only neighbor was Ms. Dolores Finch, a frail widow who shuffled her yard in a worn housecoat, rain or shine. When we first met, she offered banana bread so dry it crumbled in my hands. "Keeps the spirits quiet," she whispered. I laughed, thinking it a harmless old lady joke. 2 weeks later, on a muggy Tuesday night, scratching noises woke me. Faint, tiny nails behind my headboard. Mice, I thought, until a raspy voice drifted through the wall. "You smell like sleep." My skin prickled. I snapped on the lamp. Silence. Maybe I'd imagined it, but I moved my dresser anyway. Morning brought no comfort. Outside, Dolores knelt in her flower bed, face pressed to dirt, as if inhaling it. She smiled when she saw me. Black soil caked in her teeth. I installed cheap cameras in my hallway and front door. For 3 nights, footage showed nothing, yet each dawn left me convinced someone tested the stairs, step by agonizing step. On Friday, a thunderstorm knocked out power. My phone battery dwindled. Candlelight flickered restless shadows. At midnight, lightning flashed, and the hallway camera pinged motion just before dying. I crept to my door, listening. Wet dragging sounds like elbows sliding over carpet. The knob turned slightly. "I brought you bread," Dolores whispered. "Leave," I shouted. Silence. Then the knob retreated, thumping slowly down the stairs, accompanied by her soft, chilling lullaby. At dawn, power returned. Reviewing footage made my stomach drop. Dolores crouched at my staircase, upside down, her limbs gripping steps, body arched grotesquely, her head twisted backward to stare directly into the lens. In her hands, she held a loaf of banana bread, crawling with maggots. Police knocked on Dolores's door. No answer. They took my statement and promised patrols. Hours later, another blackout struck. Exactly 3:07 a.m., I remember clearly. Downstairs, glass shattered, my slide-in door. Dialing 911, I left the line open and crept toward the sound. Dolores knelt amid broken glass, palms bleeding, humming softly. She sniffed, her gaze lifting toward me hidden upstairs. "You smell like fear now," she hissed, crawling spider-like up the staircase. Terrified, I barricaded myself in the bathroom. Nails clawed the door until sirens drew close, finally silencing her. Police discovered Dolores in my bedroom, chewing drywall, plaster dust coating her lips as she laughed, a hollow, unsettling cry. She was taken for psychiatric evaluation. A judge ordered a brief hold. Shaken, I fled to a motel. 2 days later, Detective Gonzalez called. They'd opened Dolores's basement, sealed shut with paint. Inside were deep scratches, countless loaves of decaying banana bread, wrapped in wax paper, each labeled with former residents' names. Many vanished or abruptly moved away. The newest loaf had my name. Beneath these lay bones. Some animal, possibly human. Dolores died weeks later from infection. Nurses said her final hours were spent asking if the bread satisfied the spirits. Clearing her house revealed horrors. Sinks clogged with earth and spoons. Closets of unknown children's clothing. A fridge humming without power. Jars labeled sweat. In her attic, cassette tapes played my address repeatedly, followed by haunting lullabies. County archives showed Dolores's grandfather, Reverend Cormac Finch, owned both properties in the 1920s, performing rituals to feed thin places. His journal held chilling instructions. Offerings must be warm, wrapped in wheat and song, carried on all fours. Dolores wasn't insane. She had honored her family's dark ritual. I moved out quickly, but couldn't sell. The house stands empty, windows boarded, porch sagging. Neighbors whisper of a thin figure roaming nightly, humming softly. Sometimes I drive past slowly, doors locked tight, staring at the faded for sale sign. I imagine another unsuspecting buyer, thrilled by a bargain, unaware they'll soon taste chalky bread and overripe bananas as whispers emerge from behind the walls. You smell like sleep. If you ever find a home too cheap, with only one neighbor, bring more than housewarming gifts. Carry salt, iron locks, and the courage to flee at the first whisper. Affordable homes hide costly nightmares, and some neighbors linger after death, ensuring you never rest. Some houses don't creak from age. They breathe through the woman crawling your stairs, carrying bread for spirits forever hungry. A freshly dug pit. Would you call the cops, or would you keep watching? I did the last, and it almost cost me my life. Have you ever stared through your bedroom blinds and caught your neighbor doing something he swore no one would ever see? Tonight I'm going to tell you exactly what happened when I did, and why I now sleep with the curtains taped shut. It was the last week of July, and the heat pressed against our quiet cul-de-sac like a damp pillow. I was 16, half awake, scrolling through my phone in the dead of night when the slow rasp of metal against earth drifted through my screen. Curious, I lifted the blind. Under the yellowish cone of his back porch light, Mr. Ellery, my 40-something next-door neighbor with the odd smile, was digging. I heard the metallic clink of a shovel, followed by the wet scrape of loose soil sliding across plywood, over and over like a terrible metronome. At first I thought he was planting something, midnight gardening to escape the heat, but no. The pit was far too deep and he wasn't lowering in flowers. He was lowering in plastic. A garbage bag shape dropped into the hole. For a moment, under the porch light, I caught fingers, white, limp fingers, poking through torn polyethylene. Then Mr. Ellery kicked soil over them, fast and frantic, like a dog erasing mischief. I should have called the police right then. I didn't. Real fear doesn't make you brave. It makes you freeze. I slid down the wall and sat on the carpet until dawn, watching that mound rise inch by inch. The next morning, Mom cooked eggs while the neighbor strolled past our kitchen window, whistling, fresh dirt still under his nails. I opened my mouth to speak, but the words caught. What if I'd misunderstood? What if it had been a pig, a dog, anything but what I thought? That afternoon, I bought a disposable camera and 2 cans of energy drink. If I was going to accuse the man, I needed proof I could hold up to the sun. Night 2, 1:14 a.m. The scrape returned. I crouched beneath the blind, camera ready. This time the pit was beside his tool shed. Another bag, heavier, judging by his grunt. As he bent, the porch light haloed his face, and I noticed something horrifying. A smear of red across his cheek that looked like smeared lipstick. The camera shutter clicked, and the flash exploded. Mr. Ellery spun, eyes wide, shovel raised. I ducked, but not before the beam cut across my window. The night seemed to inhale, and then hold its breath. Seconds later, his back door creaked shut. He saw me, I didn't sleep. Every diesel engine on the main road sounded like his truck slowing to a stop. At 4 a.m., I dialed 911, hung up, dialed again. No, I told myself. The photo came first. The pharmacy opened at 9. I handed over the camera, fingers buzzing. 2 hours later, I unfolded the glossy prints. My stomach dropped. Overexposed, blown out, nothing but a white square and a smear of darkness. The flash had destroyed the evidence. That's when a hand settled on my shoulder. Mr. Ellery stood behind me in the aisle, smiling that odd smile. "Developing memories?" he asked, squeezing just a bit too hard. I muttered something, sprinted outside, heart ricocheting against my ribs. He followed at a casual distance all the way to the parking lot, twirling his car keys around one dirt-stained finger. That evening, I barricaded my bedroom door and kept watch. Midnight arrived. No shovel, no light, only the measured crunch of footsteps moving up our driveway. They stopped directly beneath my window. Someone knocked on the side door, the one that opened straight into the garage. 3 polite taps that echoed down the hall. "Don't open it!" I yelled, but the latch had already turned. Mr. Ellery stepped inside, holding a covered casserole dish. "Thought you folks might enjoy my famous shepherd's pie," he said. The lid slid an inch and a coppery steam rose out. My gut twisted. Mom thanked him, oblivious. He glanced at me, eyes glittering the way glass does, right before it cuts you. I waited until Mom slept, then crept to the fridge. The casserole dish sat sealed in plastic wrap. I peeled it back. Inside wasn't shepherd's pie. It was raw meat layered over dirt, and on top, my ruined photo. Edges burned black. Across the glossy surface, written in marker, were 4 words. "Dig your own grave." That was enough. I called the sheriff and unloaded every detail. Deputies arrived just before dawn. They unearthed 2 fresh graves in Ellery's yard. Inside, a pair of stray dogs, beheaded. Evidence of cruelty, yes, but not murder. The deputies left with a warning. Nothing more. Ellery waved at me over their shoulders. Sweet as syrup. That night, thunder rolled, and the roof rattled beneath punishing rain. Perfect cover for fresh shoveling. Around 2 a.m., lightning flashed, illuminating my room, and the silhouette of a man at my window. I lunged for the lamp. He vanished like a drop of ink in water. 2 deliberate knocks rattled the back window frame. Stupid, reckless, I grabbed my phone and slipped outside barefoot. Ellery's yard glowed under intermittent lightning. The new mound had been opened, soil scattered like dark confetti. I raised my phone flashlight and froze. A woman's face stared from the hole, eyes glassy, mouth stuffed with cloth. A hoarse scream tore itself from my throat. Behind me, a shovel sliced through the rain, missing my skull by inches. I ran, slipping in mud, hearing his boots hammer the ground behind me. I vaulted the fence, tore across our lawn, dove into the basement door, and bolted it. Sirens arrived 5 minutes later. Mom had called the moment I screamed. Deputies found Ellery kneeling in the mud, arms raised, rain streaking his face. The body was real. A missing hitchhiker identified days later. My photo, freshly printed, was tucked into her fist. He took a plea. Life without parole. They say he killed 4 others. I testified, staring at his stained fingers wrapped in cuffs. Daylight seemed to dissolve the horror, but every ordinary thing now looked razor-edged. The sprinklers ticking in synchronized arcs across manicured lawns reminded me of bones cracking. Neighborhood kids pedaled their bikes in lazy circles, unaware that a predator had once trimmed hedges right beside them. I tried telling my best friend Tara during lunch break at the diner, but she laughed it off. "Dude, He's probably burying expired chicken. My mom does that for fertilizer, she said. That evening, I scrolled through online forums. Missing pets, unsolved disappearances, any thread connecting to the name Ellery. One post from 2 counties over mentioned a handyman who vanished after a late-night job. Last phone ping near our subdivision. My gut clenched like a fist. I copied the thread, printed screenshots, and highlighted timestamps. Evidence was flimsy, but paranoia is a glue. It holds random scraps together until they resemble a monster. And sometimes the monster is real. People always ask why I didn't move. The truth? I couldn't. The mortgage was under Mom's name, the housing market tanked, and leaving felt like surrender. So I stayed. I turned Ellery's empty lot, auctioned by the county, into a garden of white lilies, because the florist told me lilies symbolize restored innocence. Every bloom felt like a bandage pressed against a wound, but some wounds keep weeping. On spring nights, the lilies glow silver in moonlight, and the breeze shakes their stalks until they whisper almost intelligible words. I swear I hear the hitchhiker's voice among them, thank you, and beneath that, a deeper note, the ghost of a shovel biting the earth in slow motion. I know it's only memory, but memory, like soil, never truly settles. It shifts, it sighs. It can swallow you if you stop paying attention. So I don't. I watch. I listen. And if another shovel ever scrapes in the dark, I'll be ready. With photos, recordings, and every window locked twice. Because monsters wear lawn care gloves and offer casserole dishes, and the only thing deeper than their pits is their hunger. It's been 6 years now. I'm 22 and majoring in criminal psychology. No surprise there. My classmates write papers about notorious killers they've never met. I write about the one who used to wave from the mailbox across my driveway. Sometimes professors pull me aside to ask if the details are exaggerated for effect. I wish they were. On visiting day Fridays, I drive to the state penitentiary, park outside the razor wire, and sit in my car until my coffee goes cold. I never go inside. I don't need Ellery's voice pressing against the glass to remember it. But I watch the families who do go in, the tired wives, the hollow-eyed mothers, and I wonder who else ignored the first scrape of a shovel. Back home, Mom thinks I'm finally moving on. She paints sunsets now, bright and sentimental, and hangs them over the patched bullet-resistant panels I installed behind every upstairs wall. I don't correct her optimism. She deserves the illusion. I still keep a disposable camera in the nightstand, a fresh roll of film in the freezer, and a steel-handled shovel of my own leaning by the back door. In daylight, the polished blade looks harmless, almost ornamental. But under a full moon, it gleams like a silver fang, a quiet promise that if the earth starts whispering again, this time I'll dig first, and I won't be the one who disappears. If the kid next door climbed through your window at 3 a.m., rifle trembling in hand, whispering urgently, would you scream, or would you follow him into the woods? I followed him, and every pine-scented night since has felt like an endless siege. I grew up on a dead-end road, surrounded by shadowy pines and leaning mailboxes. The Brenner brothers, Eli, 17, and Micah, 15, moved across the street one muggy June. Their trucker parents were rarely home, leaving the boys unchecked, and soon the forest belonged only to them. It began innocently. BB pellets pinging stop signs, bottle rockets bursting in gutters, Midnight laughter drifting between porch lights. But boredom twisted by dense woods becomes dangerous. One evening, Eli approached me while I cleaned paintbrushes, a live rabbit dangling from his grip. "Teach him to swim?" he smirked, tossing the terrified creature into a flooded ditch. I rescued it, but Eli's hollow stare spoke louder than words. On July 4th, the brothers hosted half the county's teenagers around a bonfire deep in the trees. Micah poured gasoline recklessly, igniting flames that clawed towards the sky. Cheers erupted, but I stood frozen, watching the brothers' faces glow demonic red with something darker than excitement. Eli leaned close. "Dad built a bunker under our shed," he whispered. "Concrete walls, locked door. We're stocking it for when the purge comes." I laughed nervously until neighborhood's pets vanished. A cat, 2 dogs, and a broken bicycle left chilling traces. No bodies, only absence. A lingering dread filled the air. One stormy night, thunder jolted me awake. Eli perched at my window, drenched, gripping a .22 rifle. "Need you," he rasped. "Micah's hurt." Fear muted my screams. Barefoot, I followed Eli into the storm-lit trees. He unlocked the bunker beneath the shed, releasing a cold, rancid breath. Inside, Micah knelt beside a floral sheet, knife trembling. The sheet shifted. A dead dog's head rolled out. I choked. In pitch darkness, Eli's whisper chilled me. "Help bury it, and we'll let you go." I ran. Gunfire echoed as I sealed them underground, heart racing louder than the storm. At dawn, deputies pried open the bunker, empty except for an escape pipe snaking into the forest. A 2-day hunt turned up nothing until searchers discovered a stone altar, bearing the missing cat as an offering. Symbols bleeding animal blood marked the trees. The brothers had vanished like ghosts. Investigators emptied the bunker. Ancient canned goods, homemade chloroform, gruesome Polaroids of slaughtered animals, and blurry shots of neighborhoods' windows, including mine. A photo captured me sleeping. Nausea overtook me. On the walls, twisted Bible verses promised bloodshed, repeating one sinister phrase: "She walks between the trees." Experts whispered of shared madness escalating to violence. Neighbors held a vigil, lighting lanterns against darkness. But during prayers, a scream erupted nearby. Deputies found clawed letters carved in birch bark. "Watch." Weeks dragged on, the woods now haunted territory. One sleepless night, I glimpsed Eli outside, shirtless, ash symbols etched on pale skin, smiling coldly before vanishing. Halloween passed silently, but the next dawn brought a frightened Micah pounding at my door. "Eli's gone crazy," he gasped. "The woods speak to him. You're his final sacrifice." A rifle shot shattered glass inches from me. Micah was hit. I dragged him to safety as bullets pelted the house. Eli vanished like smoke again, silent as ever. In the hospital, Micah revealed everything: the animals, Eli's rituals, the voices he whispered. Deputies recovered Eli's journal, detailing twisted ceremonies and listing me as the final witness. One page had been torn out, my name scrawled ominously. Eli remains at large. Hunters hear cries too human to dismiss as animals. Campers find gutted deer pointing towards the abandoned Brenner house. Each new lead fades, leaving only fear behind. Friends urge me to flee, but running feels like surrender. Instead, I've turned caution into ritual. Salt barriers, floodlights, a pine bloom pressed beside my bed as a reminder. Sometimes I visit Micah in detention, his eyes haunted. He warns Eli hunts something deeper, something older. "If you hear drumming," Micah whispers, "don't follow." And so I wait. Days filled with painted colors of safety, nights filled with whispers from the pines. As sleep claims me, I listen. Rifle bolts, branches brushing gently with no wind. I recall the bunker's dark heartbeat, the Polaroid of my sleeping face, Eli's ash-smeared grin. If he ever climbs through my window again, I won't follow. This time, I'll stand my ground. Some forests trap you forever, and some brothers carry wilderness deep in their hearts.